Welcome to our second week of contemplation during our Advent season. And at this point, we're going to move on to our second topic, which is peace. And so to start our meditation today, I would like to offer a quote from Francis of Assisi. When you are proclaiming peace with your lips, be careful to have it even more fully in your heart. Now, when I was choosing hymns for this particular subject, the first one that came to mind is the one that I'm going to offer for us today. It's more commonly known as Publish Glad Tidings because of the refrain. It is hymn number 537 in the Episcopal Hymnal. And I think we can take a few moments now to just get ourselves situated in the place that we are at. If it's safe and possible, I can recommend closing your eyes and just listening to the words. If you prefer to follow along with the words, of course, again, it is in our hymnal. You can also find them online as well. So take a moment, take a deep breath. O Zion, haste, thy mission high fulfilling, to tell to all the world that God is light, that he who made all nations is not willing one soul should fail to know his love and might. Publish glad tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Jesus, redemption and release. Proclaim to every people, tongue, and nation that God, in whom they live and move, is love. Tell how he stooped to save his lost creation and died on earth that all might live above. Publish glad tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Jesus, redemption, and release. Send heralds forth to bear the message glorious. Give of thy wealth to speed them on their way. Pour out thy soul for them in prayer victorious, till God shall bring his kingdom's joyful day. Publish glad tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Jesus, redemption, and release. He comes again. O Zion, ere thou meet him, make known to every heart his saving grace. Let none whom he hath ransomed failed to greet him, through thy neglect, unfit to see his face. Publish glad tidings, tidings of peace, tidings of Jesus, redemption, and release. Now, as we contemplate a hymn's wording, we can oftentimes speculate about what the author was thinking or feeling at that very time. In the case of this particular hymn, we actually have the author's words, the words of the writer herself. Mary Ann Thompson was born in 1834 in London, England, and wrote around 40 hymns in her lifetime, 4 of which are still in our hymnal today. But in reference to this particular hymn, she wrote the following. I wrote the greater part of the hymn, O Zion, haste, in the year 1868. I had written many hymns before, and one night, while I was sitting up with one of my children who was ill of typhoid fever, I thought I should like to write a missionary hymn to the tune of the hymn beginning, Hark, hark, my soul, angelic songs are swelling, as I was fond of that tune. But I could not get a refrain that I liked. So I left the hymn unfinished. About 3 years later, I finished it by writing the refrain, which now forms part of it. By some mistake, 1891 is given instead of 1871 as the date in the hymn in the Episcopal hymnal. I do not think it is ever sung to the tune for which I wrote it. Reverend John Hankeltel told me, and I am sure he is right, that it is better for a hymn to have a tune of its own. And I feel much indebted to the composer of the tune Tidings for writing so inspiring a tune for my words. A peaceful harmony between the words and the tune give us a beautiful opportunity to feel a sense of celebratory peace while we contemplate those words. In Paul's letter to the Philippians, he wrote, "Do not be anxious about anything, but in every situation, by prayer and petition with thanksgiving, present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus." And so at the conclusion of our time together today, I'd like to offer you a few questions to ponder. Now, we often describe war as being one of the opposites of peace. And historically, many wars have occurred between two sides who both think they are fighting because their beliefs are right. How does the part of the verse where the writer has written that he who made all nations is not willing one soul should fail to know his love and might change how we look at war? My second question for you is, how do you find peace in your own heart, as St. Francis encourages us? And finally, do you feel God's peace transcends all understanding? And do you want it to just stay that way? Or how do we as believers begin to understand and know God's power and love and peace? Thank you for coming back again today to join me on this topic of peace as we continue to move our way through our Advent season. I look forward to joining again with you tomorrow. And until then, please take care and may God bless.